It's what's in your wallet.
I'm so old.
I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5 explosive hot dog carts.
Ritualistic blood magic.
Laser shooting chesty statues.
Don't watch movies unless we tell you to. Live from Craig's basement, it's Movies with my best friend, Phil. I'm your host, Phil Castle, in town. I'm in town. I'm in town forever. Joined by my two very best friends. I'm physically in the space with them, everyone. I could reach out and I couldn't reach out and touch them, but if I got up and moved, I could touch Will and I could touch Craig, and they'd really appreciate it. But I'm going to hold off for right now. But later on in the episode, I think I probably will do just that. First, I'd go to Craig Norland.
I, for one, am really looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a really good segment. It's going to be a new segment I call I Touch My Best Friends. And I want to get some feedback on the name from my good friend Will Chodas.
I'm all for it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really great.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Should we change the podcast name to
Touching with my best friend Phil?
Phil touches his best friend.
Touching just my best friend Phil.
Yeah. Oh, that makes it sound like you guys are touching me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, if we change up the format of the podcast, I think that's fine.
Yeah. I hate this vibe. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's definitely clear. Here's the thing, though. I'm vibing because I'm here in Michigan. We are recording this in... That wasn't a bit.
Yeah,
we're recording this in Craig's basement.
Yeah. Nothing else bad is happening in the world.
No. We're gonna tune all that
target.
out. We're gonna tune all that out, and this is a podcast for good vibes only, except for the bad vibes that we have for this movie.
Don't call me that. Sorry.
Yeah, guys, I'm here. I'm in Michigan. The drive was fine. Fun fact, Nebraska is boring.
Wow.
Sorry to all our Nebraskan listeners. It's very boring to drive through your state.
You know, I would say I was surprised to hear that, but I will also say I don't know where to find Nebraska on the map. So
I'm actually quite good at geography.
Oh, I'm terrible at it.
Yeah. Have you guys... Okay. All right. Now, here's my question. Have you guys seen the... what's his name? It's this guy online, Rainbolt. It's this guy online who will play the GeoGuessr game, which is a game I absolutely love. Yeah. And he will guess it from like a blurry picture that is like... I saw him do it once where it was just brown. It was like a blurry brown picture that did not show any details. And he was like, just to do a bit... Like, I'm gonna get this looks like a Mauritania brown, and then he clicked on whatever country it actually was, and it just was right. He's like, he always gets it right, and even when he's like trying to do a bit, he'll still kind of get it right, and it is really weird to watch. And I wonder if he has any other skills, or if all of his points have been put into that.
Like at the very beginning, he put all his points into
geoguessing.
Geoguessing, useless knowledge.
This will be useful someday, right?
You're like, I can reassign these skills later, right? Right?
Yeah. No, I feel like I've done that as well, but in less useful things because he's at least famous on the internet now.
I feel like when they were passing out points, I didn't get any. It wasn't like I put all mine in the wrong spot. They were just like, all right, you get 13 points. You get 13. Will you get 7.5? And I'm like, Is there any reason getting less? For less? Nope. No reason. You get less. But we're going to put it all in anger.
I was going to say, is most of that in yelling at random people on the internet?
Okay, wait a minute. To keep the positive vibes rolling, you had to at least have put a point into drawing.
That's true.
Because I like your little guys that you draw.
Yeah. I draw little guys, and sometimes make stickers out of them.
Yeah.
Nobody buys.
I see. Okay, here's the thing: is I was about to buy them.
Yeah.
And then we started selling our house, and I was like, well, this address won't work.
Yeah, well, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
But
That's
now
fine.
I have an address.
Well, speaking of that, how's you're in an apartment right now, right?
It's going to be weird to get used to an apartment again, I think.
Yeah.
So far, Fitz has been awesome in the apartment. He has not barked about the people around the apartment yet, which is awesome. Like the people above us and the people next to us. We're in like a corner, so we don't have people on either side, just on one side, which is nice. He pretty much slept all day, which was nice today. But he's been pretty cool with the noises upstairs, which is unexpected because he's a very vocal, barky boy. But we love him. He's a goofball.
How's the neighborhood?
Honestly, the place seems really nice. We are like the apartment complex itself is nice. Everything seems pretty well cleaned. There's like a dog park in the middle with like an agility course that Fitz doesn't understand how to use yet. Which is adorable because they've got like a teeter-totter thing, and he got on it a couple of times today, and every single time it teeted or totted, he would just freak out and jump off, and it was very cute. We're like a half a mile from a grocery store.
That's good.
We're very close to a 7-Eleven. We're too close to a Starbucks. We are too close to a Culver's, both of which will be problems. Mostly the Culver's.
Yeah, love me
like,
at Culver's.
It's going to be like, hey, what do you want for dinner? Do you want to cook something or do you want to go to Culver's? And the answer is going to be Culver's.
Speaking of going to Culver's, oftentimes when you go there, you get a little you get some, what's the word for it? Food.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
You get food, and often when you get food, you got to pay for that food.
With services.
With services, and a lot of the times what you got to do is you go in the back and you do the dishes and stuff. But occasionally you may like stay a little bit too long, and then they're like,
and then
hey,
you have to kiss the manager.
well, okay. Yeah, and then you got to kiss the manager, and then you find yourself in a situation where you're like, well, what do I do now? Do I tip? Do I not tip?
Yeah, that's always the struggle for me.
And so oftentimes you find yourself reaching into your
Tipping
pocket.
culture has gotten out of control.
It really has gotten out of control. You find yourself reaching into your pocket and pulling something out to pay them with. Gosh, what is that thing called? Craig, do you know?
Raw coins.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. That's right. It's the segment where we reach deep into our best friend's pants and whip out some recommendations.
Whip out a blockchain.
It's
Who
dat
Bitcoin. What up, tech bros?
It's a joke for all my tech bros.
Right. Sorry. I was very close to shutting down forever just then. But I'm back. It's all
Isn't
good.
it great though when you get to the edge and then you come back?
No, it's terrifying. So Craig, what's in your wallet?
Oh gosh, so I'm having a hard time narrowing it down just because I went on vacation to
Brag.
Anaheim since we recorded last.
I saw the pictures. That looked very fun.
It was very fun. It was very busy. I was very jet lagged, but we made it work. But we had to wait 5 hours at DTW, which was awful.
I feel like that never happens at DTW.
When I had to go to Canada, the same thing happened. I was sitting there for 5 hours, and then I got taken to a different flight. So I went to a different city. I went to Montreal. And they're like,
which is accidentally?
Well, because my connecting flight was just gone. It left me without me, so they had to try and figure out how to get me to Quebec City. So,
dang,
that was a whole thing. So that took me like 16 hours to get there.
Yeah.
So, but Jonas is great. 5 hours, just doing his thing in the airport. He was mostly just people watching. And then on the plane, he mostly just looked out the window, and he was very interested by the Rocky Mountains. He just wouldn't stop talking about them. And like, oh, there, you could probably see Uncle Phil. And then he took me to literally.
Said, yeah, look at that giant bald head.
He's right there. He's like, where? I'm like, no, you can't actually see him. He's like, where's Uncle Phil? I'm like, okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's like when you're driving and you're like, oh, look, a chicken. Where? It's right. See the chicken. Where? It's gone now. What?
Yeah.
Oh,
that is
God.
like any parents out
regret
there
saying
or
anything.
want to be parents, never, ever point out anything to your kids while you're driving.
Yeah,
It
because
is the dumbest thing you will learn so quickly. And except you won't learn because you'll still do it.
Yeah.
I still do it all the time. I'm like, pass by a truck that had cows in it. I'm like, look at the cows. Where? Look, it's sticking its nose out right now. You can see it. Where?
it's like, why can't you see? Use your eyes. Use your eyes to see where they are. They're right there.
Use your special eyes.
Yes, I can't see them. Okay, well then you missed them. I missed the cows.
It's terrible.
It's not good. It's not like
It's
going to the
terrible.
zoo.
So I did watch a bunch of movies. I had time for 2 movies both ways.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
And you watched Matchstick Men both times,
Yes.
both ways.
yes, I did.
It's the perfect airplane
I was
movie.
going to say that is such an airplane movie, and I would have watched it if there weren't better options. So I ended up watching The Bike Riders, which was pretty decent.
I don't know if oh.
It's a motorcycle.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like the based on true events sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's all right. I would say it's like the best
Don't
thing
you
ever.
think all bicycle movies and motorbike movies are based on true events because bicycles and motorcycles exist?
They do, don't they?
Yeah, that's how movies work too.
If you think about it.
Jeez, if you really think about it. Then I watched a very scary movie because it's coming true. It is
no.
Alex Garland's Civil War.
Oh, why would you watch that then of all times?
I know. I was like, oh, I meant to watch this. And I watched it. I was like, I am very depressed.
Yeah, that's why it was coming out. I was like, isn't this too soon? And also not
Not
like it's too soon. And also this already happened. What are we doing here, sir?
it was really good though.
I've heard.
Yeah, I haven't seen Men, his last movie. I know a lot of people gave that one a lot of shit. So, but I liked all his other movies a lot.
Yeah.
Annihilation was great.
Yeah.
Ex Machina is
Very
probably still
good.
my favorite.
Very good.
And on the way back, it was a weird combo. I watched If,
Okay.
which is that movie where it looks like it's a kid's movie, but then you start watching it, you're like, this isn't a kid's movie, because it's mostly about like, it's okay for you to have a imaginary friend if you're an adult. Like you still need
Yeah.
It's that it was more about trauma. Like the mom dies at the very beginning, and there was like they showed all the kid funny parts in the trailers.
Yeah. To
And
get
so
people to.
a lot of people went and saw it. They're like, "This is a kids movie," and they're like, "This is not a kids movie."
No, this is a. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's kind of an all ages movie, maybe, but it's
it's
mostly.
just a little too morose
Yeah.
for little kids. So don't do that.
Yeah, I still liked the movie. I thought it was
Yeah.
alright. It definitely wasn't like I didn't go into it like this is gonna be my new favorite like Pixar makes me cry feel good movie. But it was alright.
Yeah. And then the smartest decision I made was I watched an old movie because I'm an old person stuck in an old body.
I'm so old.
What's that?
Nope, I don't
No.
have it.
I watched North by Northwest.
Ah,
And,
the music festival.
Yes.
South by Southwest Airlines.
South by Southwest is a film, like a, what do you call it?
Is it a film festival?
It's a film festival,
yeah, I don't know things, man.
So Alfred Hitchcock and Cary Grant. And man, it is really funny because he's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think of Cary Grant as being funny nowadays.
I don't think of Cary Grant at all most of the time.
I know. But like I've seen him in Arsenic and Old Lace, and he's really funny in that. But just really like he just looks like every other handsome man, but he just has like his expressions are just out of this world. And just his attitude throughout the whole movie, he's just very inconvenienced by being mistaken for this spy. But it's very good. I tried to watch it in the past, and I couldn't do it for whatever reason. So it was nice I actually got through it. And then I guess I'll save my other, because I watched like 15 other movies since we last recorded. So I'll save the rest of them.
Yeah, give us a lightning round later on.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
All right.
no, I think that'll be perfect.
Will,
Yeah. Huh? Me?
William.
you can wake up.
We'll see. Yeah. So
wake up from this nightmare.
yeah.
If
If
only.
I mean, ending it is never mind. What was I gonna say?
What did you draw, Will? While I was talking.
Oh, no, I didn't draw this. I just found this. So I pulled out this bag I hadn't used in a long time, and I pulled out a picture that I drew back in college, which is just a guy screaming with his mouth as wide open as possibly impossibly
that.
large.
Do you feel that right now?
I have been feeling this
Since you drew it.
since I drew it
Yeah.
in college
Yeah.
and before. So, anywho, no, you guys will be totally surprised to hear that I did something new. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
I watched something that came out relatively recently. I didn't stray too far from trodden ground.
Was it The Matrix Reloaded?
No. I actually been meaning to rewatch those.
Jack and I watched them like 2 years ago.
Yeah, because I never saw the fourth one.
I have not seen the fourth one.
Yeah, and I just like
It's
kinda,
pretty good.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
Anyways,
From you.
No, I watched Agatha all along. Yeah.
How was that?
Which is it's basically the sequel to WandaVision, or kind of like a spin-off. It's made by the same showrunner. I thought it was really good. I thought it very much is WandaVision. It's like in the same sort of vein of like, there's like magic and sort of like witches, but like a lot of humor and funny. And it has like a lot of fun twists and turns that Caitlin figured out. And I was going like, oh, I had no idea. I was totally surprised. She's like, you didn't know? They made it obvious. I'm like, oh, okay.
You know who does that all the time and it drives me fucking crazy? Is Jack.
She just sees it all.
Yeah, she'll just figure out a plot twist like really early on, and if it's like if it's a movie or a show I've seen, we're like 10, 15 minutes in, she's like, "Oh, I bet that person does this," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Ah, fuck, let's just turn it off.
Yeah.
I'm done."
Yeah. Caitlin's always a little bit more quicker on that, but I think it's because she's paranoid. But no, I really liked it. It was like a fun show. Aubrey Plaza's in it, so she's great in it.
It's got a lot of people that I
Yeah.
really enjoy.
Yeah. It's got this kind of like fun. So basically, you have to get to through the first couple episodes for it to like kind of picks up, because basically it takes place. The first couple episodes are weird because if you watch WandaVision, Agatha's like she's lost all of her powers. Spoiler alert, a little bit for WandaVision. So it takes a while for her to like get back to being Agatha, and then the show's got to start. So it takes a couple episodes to like get into what the show is.
Yeah.
But I did like the second it started off, it was fun. Because it starts off and she's like she's imagining her life is in like a cop procedural, so it's kind of got that, it very much has that WandaVision feel to it, because like, and then in the show they go to this other place and it's like got trials and stuff, so like every episode they'll go into the house to do the trial and it'll have like a different theme to it, so it has this sort of same feel in a lot of ways, where it's like playing with different it's not playing with genre the same way, but just like, I don't know, magic and fun. I liked it a lot. I thought it was like
Christopher Maloney in it.
Who is that?
Stabler from Law and Order SVU.
He is not. I don't think.
You said something about crime procedural, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, it'd be pretty cool if they got him."
Yeah, it would be, but no, he's not in it. It's not as like WandaVision was also fun because it brought in a bunch of characters you hadn't seen in a long time.
I'm sorry. It was like when you're trying to explain a show to your parents, and they're like, "Oh yeah, is that Tom Selleck in it?" Like, no, Dad, Tom Selleck is not in every show. I like that Blue Blood show. I know you like that show.
Yeah. So yeah, no, he's not in it. But well, like WandaVision, like I don't know if it had a character from Ant-Man, it had a character from Thor, it had a character from not Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, all on the outside, which is like it had all these B characters, which is really fun to bring them in to do that. This doesn't have that as much, I don't think, but it's still, I liked it. Thought it was pretty good. It was a good, like I feel like the Marvel shows these days. I think I'm realizing now that like it had a streak of like a bunch of ones that I kind of nothinged, you know? And then I was like sort of realizing like, oh yeah, there was like a writer's strike mixed in with COVID kind of happening. So like a lot of those movies kind of didn't feel right in a lot of ways. And they already had an uphill battle because like Endgame was such a good ending to, you know, the whole Marvel story that, you know,
at this point, it's like a more of a middle point.
Yeah. Well, it's also weird is like a whole phase went by and there wasn't an Avengers movie because they did phase 4 and phase 4 ended. And I was like, wait, where's the big crossover event? That's what makes these movies great is you watch a couple crap ones, but then you come to love that character when they show up in a different movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody liked Thor until he showed up later, you know? Same with Captain America. Yeah, they didn't do that. So it's just sort of like, oh, okay, what's Shang-Chi? Like it's fun that the world continues, you know. That's what I like about him is like the world is continuing like sort of in tandem with ours. So it's like, what's Shang-Chi up to? He had that one movie and where's he at? What's he doing?
Yeah, what's he doing?
Yeah, what's he been up to?
What's he doing now?
What's he doing? You know?
Do you think he'd come on the show?
He might. Yeah, he might. I think he's hanging out with Ken and Barbie though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what's in my wallet. What about you, Phil?
Oh man. Listen, okay. So I'm gonna go off the cuff here. Duke's mayonnaise. It's got that twang. It's good. Did you want a recommendation for mayonnaise?
I mean, no, but sure.
Oh, weird. Okay. I kind of thought that's where we were.
I mean, I'm more of
in our friendship.
Yeah, I'm more of I think is it Helms mayonnaise?
Hellman's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was a little baby bitch.
I just realized like I've never tried to say the name of that mayonnaise out loud because it's never mattered. But now I'm in a conversation about mayonnaise. So, you know.
That's what you get when you're friends with me, man.
Yeah. Glad to have you back, Phil.
Okay, so I watched a 1995 Japanese animated science fiction anthology film called Memories.
Wow.
And it was fucking great. So there's 3 stories in it. The first one is definitely no, they're all really good. I think the first one is my favorite. The last one is like a massively cool work of art though. But it is just this like let's see, the first story is this sort of far future. We're following these like salvaging people in space. And they come upon a weird distress signal and, you know, it gets weird from there. There's ghosts and whatnot, and it's a whole thing. Really, really cool animation. Like that classic 90s anime style. It is the same, I think it's the same guy who wrote it that did Akira. Written by...
Yeah, Akira.
Yeah. So very cool. It's got a lot of weirdness to it, as you would expect from somebody who wrote Akira. Highly recommend it. The first story is like one of the coolest like space sci-fi things I've seen in a while. Really, really liked it. It really like makes you feel ways and freaks you out and looks cool and has cool sci-fi stuff in it. It's fantastic.
Looks like the other writer did Perfect Blue and Paprika.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have not seen Perfect Blue. I've heard like really high praise for that one.
I know Paprika. The only reason I know it is because, like, Inception took a lot of inspiration from it.
Oh, okay. I like that. I liked that movie. I'd probably like Paprika. I like it in the foods. You know what I mean? And then I do wanna shout out another movie that I saw. It was called Vesper. It came out in 2022. It is such cool world building and such cool visuals to this world. It's like, I want to say biopunk, maybe. So it's taking place like kind of near-ish future, I think. Most of the world is pretty much destroyed. We're following this little girl and her father, who live outside of these like city walls, which is in this, I guess, more town walls, because the city has turned into like this giant citadel, they call them, I think, where like you can't get in, and it's definitely like a haves have-nots type of situation. But all of the people live by this like biohacking weird like DNA, like everything's very, I don't know how to describe it, like a little bit body horror, but it's not horror. But like there's like a bunch of weird mushroom things growing everywhere and like weird plants. And the father's hooked up to a life support machine that has like what looks like an actual lung in a jar type thing that's keeping him alive. It is this really, really cool, very unique visual style throughout the whole film. The young actress, like lead actress, does a fantastic job. The story's really awesome. I don't know, man. This one was definitely worth a watch. I think this one's on Prime. Or no, it's on
Vesper?
Hulu. Yeah, Vesper. It is Lithuanian, French, Belgian. Which is pretty cool. It's like a sci-fi side that I feel like I don't explore very often, but there's a part of it that feels a little bit more realistic to me, where like there's only so much that like a machine box with circuits is going to get you. And so I think it's really cool when they combine like weird machine circuit box with like skin.
Yeah.
Like living machines kind of thing, or like just hacking with quotes here. Like DNA to do a certain thing, and like the seeds. One thing in the movie is the seeds that they get from these citadels, these big cities, have been coded so that they only produce one harvest, so that the people are reliant on the citadel. And they, for whatever reason, it's never explained, they have to sell their blood to the citadel, which is weird. But there's a whole thing with that. It's a really, really cool, like small, I would put it in the lo-fi sci-fi category that I really, really like Prospect kind of hit that same small scope thing that I love with sci-fi. Definitely worth a watch if you are interested in weird sci-fi.
Very cool. Speaking of weird sci-fi, that's not at all what this movie was about, but we did watch a movie. We watched Billy the Kid versus Dracula. It's a 1966 American horror western film, directed by William Bodine. It's starring Chuck Courtney, John Carradine, Melinda Plowman, and Virginia Christine. 74 minutes long. Feels longer. I couldn't find the budget for this. No surprise there.
Low?
I'm assuming $35. How do you think this movie is doing on Rotten Tomatoes, Craig?
Oh, gosh. This is like maybe 20%.
What do you think, Phil?
13.
You're both wrong. It's not on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, man.
So the IMDb logline for this movie: Dracula travels to the American Old West, intent on making a young and beautiful female ranch owner his vampire bride. Her fiancé, the reformed outlaw Billy the Kid, who's in this for some reason, finds out about it and rushes to save her. Not really what happens.
No.
Not really at all. But Phil, you picked this movie.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would I have picked this?
Why? What was the point in that?
I found this. I found this movie a while ago when I was looking at like just a list of horror westerns that exist. And I saw the title and I thought, wow, that's dumb. And here we are. That's pretty much the whole story.
Yeah. So for the uninitiated,
Yeah.
this movie is a what if scenario. What if in the Old West, Dracula was there?
Yeah.
And what if
Billy
he
the
ran
Kid
into
was
Billy
also
the
there.
Kid? And what plays out is shockingly dull. It is.
It's incredibly dull.
It's one of the least interesting movies I think I have ever seen.
I'm genuinely going to have to pull up the Wikipedia to remember the plot.
Yeah, there isn't any. Well, no. Okay, so the movie opens with Dracula trying to kill a young girl and failing. And then we see him in broad daylight nighttime in a carriage, and he is talking to a woman who is heading to a place. And she's like, she's just telling everything about her life, like she's a boomer clicking on a link in an email. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just giving away that social security number.
Yes.
Like it's
oh,
nothing.
but somebody asked me for it.
Somebody asked me for it. He seemed nice.
They can't hack my email.
Anywho, and so she shows Dracula a picture of her daughter, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
he gets the most eye boners
yes, yeah,
I've ever seen a human get.
Boing.
yes. He is the closest anyone has ever done to having their eyes bulge out of their head like a cartoon wolf dog.
Yes.
Yes. There was a small
Awooga.
sound when he saw it. Yes.
Can I see that picture again, please?
May I see that picture again? And she is like, it's not like he's doing that face in private. He's doing it in front of her. And I'd be like, absolutely not. You may never see this.
Here's the thing, like, immediately in this movie, you're like, well, you could take away the part about him being Dracula, and I'd still want Billy the Kid to kill him.
Yeah, right.
He's being an absolute creep.
Yeah, the fact that he's Dracula is almost inconsequential.
It's like completely inconsequential.
Because he just walks around all day. Like, there's none of the regular vampire tropes. I mean, he does turn into a bat. So here's the thing. I thought he had been turning into a bat the entire movie. But then at the very end, spoiler alert, when he gets attacked, the bat flies away and dies. And then he dies. And I was like,
yeah.
Hold the phone. Has that been his pet bat the whole time? Has his bat just flown places and then him just be like, hello, bat, I'm also here. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah,
Anywho.
I saw a review of this that said something along the lines of like, this is a movie about Billy the Kid versus Dracula in which the people who made the movie knew nothing about vampires, nothing about westerns, nothing about Billy the Kid. And it was just like, yeah, they don't know any of the subject matter of this movie.
No. Yeah, because so what happens is Dracula then kills that woman and her brother and assumes the identity of the brother so that he can go to the ranch and be like, "Hi, I'm your new ranch owner.
Hi, I'm your uncle, Dad. Let's go to town.
Yeah, I'm your uncle. I'm going to keep you in my house as my wife." And she's
Yeah,
like,
of course.
"Oh, everyone's talking so weird about Uncle Remus. What was his name?"
Remus. And no one's actually seen this. Apparently, no one's ever seen the uncle. So
No, yeah. So
Yeah,
he,
what a gamble on his part.
I just love. They're like, "Hey, we found your mother, and a man next to her. Who was the man? My uncle? No, he didn't have any ID. Oh, but this guy is saying he's your uncle. So there's your uncle. Oh, cool. Well, what about the mystery man? Blah, blah, blah.
No, he didn't have any idea.
He
We
didn't
don't
have
care.
any idea on him, right? But he still has you could still identify him. You don't remove someone's personhood when you don't have an ID. I'm a cop. That's not how it works. Yeah, so that didn't make any sense.
No, it did not. No, it did not.
And so the whole movie, Billy the Kid is in it, which I don't think I even know who Billy the Kid is. But the whole thing that he's Billy the Kid, like, sort of doesn't matter, but also is like a secret, but also nobody cares. And it didn't like seem to like she's like, nobody knows that you're Billy the Kid. You're William. And then he like turns the corner and somebody's like, well, if it
Billy
isn't
the
Billy
Kid.
the Kid.
Yeah.
And you're just like, is she the only one who thinks that this is some sort of ruse? Yeah. I didn't get that at all.
He's supposed to be like a reformed Billy the Kid, and it's like, why make him Billy the Kid if you're not going to make him like an outlaw?
Yeah, he's not even an outlaw in the movie.
He's not even a jerk.
He's just good at shooting. That's all.
Is he though?
Sort
he
of.
shot was it a can?
It was
Yeah,
a can.
he shot a can once.
Yeah, he shot a can a couple times in the air.
I can shoot a can. Does that mean I'm Billy the Kid?
I actually think if you throw a can up in the air, I think shooting it actually, if you're like a person who's reasonably like gun minded, I don't know if that's that hard. It's skeet shooting but slower.
Yeah,
Right?
he also shot it a bunch when it was on the ground.
Yeah, which was very unimpressive.
Which wasn't the flex he thought it was. Yeah. So then the vampire takes over and everyone's going like, "Hey, that's Dracula," and everyone else is like, "Though this," and Billy the Kid's like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's Dracula," and he's like, "I don't know." And then he like sees him kill somebody and he's like, "Hey, everybody,
I think this guy's
I think
Dracula.
this guy's a Dracula." And his fiance's like, "It can't be. He's my loving uncle. It's like that you just met and wants to keep you in your house."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Again, it's like, take away the part that he's Dracula and everything
Doesn't
he
matter.
does is still incredibly creepy and
Yes.
problematic. And I would want to kill him. I would want Billy the Kid to shoot him. It's not okay what he's doing.
Yeah, and there's like some other side plots that didn't matter. My favorite character though was the doctor, who was just very clearly a lady they found. She might have actually been an actual doctor because she said her lines like she was just saying words. She was like, "Hi, Billy. Good to see you, Billy. Yes, I will go into the other room now. It's very nice to see you. Oh, well, I'm having a great day. My head hurts a little bit, but it's nice to see you. All right, I'll see you another time. Bye." And you're just like, yes, this woman said all those words.
Yes, she said her lines.
Good for her. I guess that's acting by one definition.
Okay, pay me my money now.
Yeah.
No, Billy the Kid's God, that character was just so dumb the whole time. It's that old archetype from older movies where just like the boyfriend is the dumbest person you've ever met, but yet he somehow still pulls it off. Like he gets the bad guy, gets the touchdown, but the whole time he's like, "Huh? What?
Did I really?
Huh?
What?
So you're saying?
Huh.
You're telling me now? Wait a minute. You're telling me that this guy bit this girl's neck and sucked the blood out? Yeah. What proof do you have? The bite marks on her neck. Whoa. What other proof? The fact that she's got no blood. Wow. I don't know though.
Yeah."
That could have happened to anybody. No, it couldn't have.
Ridiculous.
Yes.
It's 15th century witchcraft talk. I don't like it.
Yeah, is that what he said? Barely remember that. I don't I cannot remember anything. There was a whole other thing where like some goon got was set him up, right? And then who was that other guy who he beat up? Or
he
beat
was
him
the
up?
other ranch hand.
Oh yeah, he's another ranch hand.
Yeah.
But Billy the Kid was William was
Yes.
in charge, and this guy was like, I fucking hate you, William Billy.
And he just
I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, well, he basically goes like, "You're my boss. I hate you. I'm gonna punch you in the face," which he then does, and then spits on him. And Billy the Kid's like, "Gosh, that guy's a handful. Fucking fire him!
You're the boss, man."
What the hell? Call the cops."
And then they get into a gunfight, but it's not related to the vampire. It's not related. It's just it's just workplace drama.
Yeah, it really is.
And then he kills him.
Yeah.
And then he's all bummed out because he killed not the bad guy. I don't know. It's
So really, all of this makes it probably sound way more interesting than it is. It is told so dully.
Yeah.
It's
one
incredible.
of the interesting things I found is that at one point, this Billy the Kid, William, who's the sort of ranch daddy, we'll call him, he says to another ranch hand, "Don't give away any more carcasses without telling me." And I just want to know,
Is that happening a lot? Whoops.
what that one threw me, to be honest. That line was just like, it's like, "What? Don't give any carcasses away without telling me." It's like, what? But it's carcasses. What do you need them for, Billy? What are you doing?
Is it animal carcasses that they could get money from?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe it's a leathers thing, a
Yeah.
hide thing, a meat thing. I don't know. It's just a
Probably.
weird line.
Wait.
You guys.
There's a weird line in here?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay. I thought the screenplay was pretty tight, actually.
I wrote the words, "Wow, that mirror shot was ridiculous," and I cannot for the life of me remember what that was in reference to.
When they
I'm
were
assuming
trying
a
to-
scene with a mirror.
Well, weren't they trying to make it seem like they were trying to figure out if he was a vampire with the mirror trick thing?
Yeah, I just can't remember what it was. Something just looked really dumb with that.
Yeah, this movie is dumb. So after we watched this movie, Craig and I watched the Blair Witch Project because this movie was only 74 minutes long. And I'd like to take some time because of this movie. I don't have anything else to talk about the Blair Witch Project. Craig, do you want to talk about the Blair Witch
Yes, I would
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
I wanted to show this to Will because you hadn't seen it before, right?
Yes. Yes.
And this is one of the few horror movies that actually kind of really freaked me out. Just that I've been camping so many times as a kid, and spoiler alert, you never see anything in this movie.
Yes.
It's just all implied.
Yeah.
It's like certain movies where the violence is implied, and so your brain comes up with things that are way worse. I swear the first time I watched this movie, I did see something for a second in the sky
Yes.
where they're like, what the fuck is that? And I was just like, oh my God. And then I watched it again with Will. I'm like, I didn't see it this time.
Yeah. I knew that you didn't see anything, but I also heard people tell me that you actually do see something. So the whole time I was like, is this the part where you actually see the scary thing? And then when it finally ended, I was like, well, that's it. That's this movie was interesting to watch, having seen it never before and seeing it for the first time, because I remember people talking about that movie in middle school and being like, this is something that really happened, guys. This really
For
happened.
real, guys.
This is real. These people really died. And and I was like, I don't think that's true because that's impossible. But also I'm not going to find out. Yeah. And so watching it for the first time now, I feel like there's not a lot of teeth in it as much, and the young the young actors acting is, well, pretty good for what it is like, still, it's like, it's acting, you know?
It's pretty, the biggest sticking point most people have is that the actors are all really, really annoying.
Oh, every single one of them is incredibly unlikable.
Insufferable.
Yeah.
Which I
It's
can
just
imagine.
like real life.
Well, she reminds me of so many like really bossy like film girls I went to college with who are just like, I have this idea and I'm just gonna do it. And you're just sort of like, you're pushy and I'm gonna go away because I'm uncomfortable. So she felt real to me, but she was also she was annoying. And then the other two guys who were like, you know, the one guy like threw out the map. I'm like, oh, you suck a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're an actual dick.
Yeah. Well, and it was also funny. I just freaked out because I saw Craig's arm come up from underneath, from behind the couch, and I was like, "Oh, the witch is here!
Yeah.
It's the witch."
You're done for.
No, I think Craig, at one point you asked me, you're like, "Have you ever been lost in the woods?" And I was like, "No, I've never once in my life
Never put
Craig,
myself in that
got
situation.
lost."
How could you ask an Eagle Scout that question
Yeah,
seriously?
That's true.
And then when you were like, "What would you do in this situation?" I was like, "I would have a map."
Yeah.
I would not go
Read
into
the
the
map.
woods
Map and a compass.
with somebody I kind of knew, because like half of them didn't, like the one guy didn't even know her basically. Like they saw him he came along just for this, right? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, no, I would have a map. I would have a map and I know where we are. And the second she said, we were here, it's off the map, now we're here, I would go, I'm going home? Because
Well, okay, so
you don't know what you're doing.
this is we got a very popular concept or setting, and not like cosmic horror, folk horror is, you know, you could be in a place that you know like the back of your hand, but all of a sudden everything's changed.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you become lost just because the force itself is changing around you without you realizing it. So, like, I don't know if that was the whole thing or if she was just that inept, but you know, the whole thing where they seem really like to get along at the beginning.
Yeah.
And the guys kind of switch with who's being nicer to her.
Yeah.
But yeah, how quickly everything deteriorates just from them being in the woods. So it's like you have that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know exactly that is because the thing is the guys started freaking out because they had gear that they had to return.
Yeah.
And they had to get to a job. So like
Yeah.
I can see myself being in that position and being like, are you kidding me? We have to stay another night here. I'm going to get in so much trouble. It's your fault. You know what I mean? That was all. I mean, that felt like very high school, you know, not high school, but college and young person dilemma. But yeah, no, the other thing that I was like, I've never once in my life just seen woods and like gone like, I'm going to just walk in them. I've always like, well, we find a path. What are you, a psychopath? Like, we have to find a path. You know what I mean? We can't just walk forward in the woods. You find a path.
Yeah.
You know? So that was the one thing. And then they just like camped out in the woods. I would have never done that. I would have been like, no, we're going to get either shot or get in trouble. And if I get in trouble, my parents will find out. If my parents find out, who knows what they might do? They might kill me this time.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But barring that, your sense of reality,
Yeah.
barging into this and being like, this isn't realistic.
Yes.
I would never do that.
Well, no, I
How
wasn't
did you
thinking,
feel about it otherwise?
No, I wasn't thinking it wasn't realistic. I was just thinking in my head, I was doing the whole like, I would never get myself in this situation sort of thing. But
Will's
absolutely,
dad comes in, enters the chat.
I did find it believable. Plenty of teenagers have died because they didn't know what they were doing in the woods. So, yeah. So, no, I mean, I really liked it. I thought the tension was fun. You know, like just the whole like you dreading nighttime with them when you're like, oh, we're gonna go to bed now, and you're like, oh, here's the thing.
The one night where
Here's
nothing
the
happens, you're
stuff.
like, oh, nothing happened. I'm like, yeah,
It was like,
that was
oh,
nice.
that's interesting. Yeah,
Well, it's like watching Paranormal Activity for the first time,
yeah,
where I was like, that's another one when it came out, it really freaked me out. I can see now how silly that movie is.
yeah.
But also it's the whole thing. Every time it was nighttime, I'm just like, oh my God, what's going to happen now?
Yeah, and I to me, my biggest problem with it was that it just felt long. Like, it kind of felt like, all right, I kind of get what this movie's doing, but we're still doing it. And then it just sort of ended without anything any sort of satisfying end, which I think is supposed to make it seem more realistic in that way, because like, oh, if they were killed, that would be the end of the footage. You wouldn't see anymore, But that to me felt more of what a short film does, which is like sort of like just gives you a little snippet of something and then cuts it off before it finishes.
Yeah.
And this like sort of ending without really having any sort of resolution was sort of like, oh, I think I turned to Craig and I was like, that's it? And I was like, oh man, so I felt a little disappointed by that.
It's like that episode of Doug where everyone goes to the scary movie and Doug closes his eyes at the scary part.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, oh man, I feel bad. I closed my eyes. Everyone was so scared and everyone's talking about it. And then he finally works up the courage and he goes back and he sees it and he leaves his eyes open and you can see that the monster has a zipper. And so it's just like kind of funny to him. And then he finds out that everyone at school he saw it with closed their eyes too. So they were all friggin' lying the whole time. And he's just like, guys, there was a zipper. It was just like, it was a silly monster at the end. It's exactly like that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't at all, but okay.
Huh.
Well, I think Phil is getting back to the point I made before where I think why the horror...
I don't know if I'm doing anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Blair Witch.
The scariness works because you don't see anything.
You do all the work in this movie in a lot of ways. The tension
That's pretty awesome. I love that.
Yeah, is that you are going like, what's gonna, you know?
Because I mean, if you besides if it was like a quick little thing that you couldn't really tell what it was in the woods, like that's about the only thing you can get away with. But if you try to like put anything tangible, like, oh my God, is the witch, and you're like, that would ruin the mystique of it.
That is something that a lot of movies do, and I always, whenever I go see, like, I used to be terrified of horror movies when I was a kid, and then so I just avoided them as a young adult because I was like, well, that would be awfully embarrassing to watch this and scream like a little girl.
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to even put myself in this situation. And then I turned, 27 or something. And I was like, okay. And I saw like, I think I watched It, right? I saw It in the theaters with my little brother. And I was like, wow, that movie scares the bejesus out of me. But also it was so much fun. And I suddenly like got sort of what horror movies were all about. But then the second movie came out and you kind of like saw him.
Oh, It Follows?
Yes. It follows it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It follows it.
It follows it.
It follows it.
Yeah.
Anyways, and you see him turn into like a big space spider, and you're just sort of like, what is this? You know what I mean? And it turns into a Final Fantasy boss, and you're just sort of like, well, you shouldn't have done this part. Go back to like killing people in bathrooms where it's like scary. You know what I mean? Like, and I think even like A Quiet Place kind of did that. Like A Quiet Place was like, you never saw the monsters for like a lot of the movie. And then when you finally did see them, it was sort of like, oh, they're suddenly not as scary because now it's just a monster movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like too many horror movies will do that where they're like, well, we have to explain how he came to be what he is and how we kill it, and we have to get behind all the lore behind it and get to understanding what the character is. And I'm like, you just declawed your monster because like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
That's fair.
And so like Blair, I do like that this movie was like, no, you never get to learn what happened. You never know what all that was, what was even going on.
Mm-hmm. I did like the non-actors at the beginning. I mean, everyone was a non-actor, but the real, like, they obviously paid a couple of townies to pretend.
To talk about things. Yeah.
And they're, you know, it seemed it's one of those things where it adds credibility to the whole.
Well, and
process.
as somebody who's made films that were intended to make sort of like documentary type films like that, it did feel like you were really finding footage, because they did a neat thing where they're like, we're shooting our movie on this camera, but this is our behind the scenes camera. You know what I mean? Which is something you do because you're like, somebody at some point is going to care about this incredible thing I'm making.
Yeah.
You know, which is something you think all the time when you're.
Well, that's why I got Jared over here filming us right now.
Yeah, I don't really like him. Yeah.
Well, I don't either. I'm just paying him to do this.
He's been glaring at Will. I think, is Jared from Gen X?
Yeah, he keeps doing. He keeps pointing two fingers at his eyes, and then pointing those same fingers back at me.
Well, okay, he's pointing one finger at his eye. He's missing an eye. That's really rude to bring up.
Oh,
Will.
is that what's going on with his face?
Yeah, he's not winking.
Oh, okay.
God.
So he's not winking at me. I thought we had something going.
No.
I thought we had a real connection.
You guys
Jared.
are ruder than Gen X.
So cringe. If one of those little motherfuckers calls me cringe. No, sorry. Yeah, but no, Blair Witch is a good movie. It's a pretty good movie. I do feel like it is one of those things where it's like watching like Animal House in 2000. Well, maybe not the same, but it's like when you go back and watch an old comedy and you're just like, so that's where those jokes come from.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, were they trying to be funny the whole time or just, the whole time? Huh, that was a joke too, huh? That one just seemed mean, you know, and so it does kind of seem like it's like, this would have been so scary if I was not me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good film. Anyway, so Dracula at the very end of the movie steals the girl away, Billy the Kid's fiance. And he brings her to a cave.
Yeah, I think it's a mine. But
it's a mine. That's right. Because they used to live in an old.
Because it's cowboy times.
It's cowboy times. Right.
There are no caves, only future mines.
How does this movie end again? He gets shot a bunch, right?
Oh no, the lady, the one helpful lady whose daughter got killed. She's like, "Oh no, you need to get him with a stake." And she kept telling him what to do. And again, Billy the Kid is an idiot. He's like, I'm going to shoot him a bunch.
She's like bullets aren't going to work. And he's like, bullets have always worked for me. It's like, you're shooting people.
Yeah.
She literally just told you they're not going to work for this. It's not a people.
My favorite part is that bullets don't work, but tossing a gun does.
Oh yeah, forgot about that part. That was great.
He shoots him a bunch, and Dracula's just like, ha 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 ha, and then he just chucks the gun, and it knocks him on his ass. So it's like, okay, wait, what?
Yeah, and then he gets him with a silver scalpel.
Yeah,
possibly the worst material that you could make a scalpel out of. I don't know why the doctor would have that.
Just in case of any Draculas coming around.
Oh, yeah. Let me get out my very soft metal for the thing that's supposed to be extremely sharp.
Yeah. Look at Phil knowing metals and stuff.
Yeah, I'm a metallurgist.
You assume that anyone on this film knew anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
right.
a little bit too much.
You're right.
So, John Carradine...
Oh, are you going to read the quote?
Oh, yeah. He basically said, I've done some of the best movies. I've done some really bad ones, but my only regret is Billy the Kid. Yeah. Versus Dracula. And we've actually seen a movie with John Carradine. We watched Secret of NIMH, and he voices the Great Owl.
Oh. Yeah. He also later on again said, my worst film? That's easy. A thing called Billy the Kid versus Dracula. It was a bad film. I don't even remember it. I was absolutely numb.
Yeah. I'm picturing the director because, again, if John Carradine is just sleepwalking through this, he had to be told to make his eyes bug out as much as possible. We're looking at this picture.
Hey, and then, Mr. Carradine, Could you? So you got to imagine that, like, your eyes are getting a boner when you look at this pocket watch with the photo.
I know what you're saying to me. I know you're thinking that I think that that's a crazy thing to say, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Thank you.
I know
this
how
is why
to
we hired you.
I know how to do it right now.
Yes. Well, could you wait until we actually are filming?
No.
We haven't even finished the script yet. You're just in my office. We were talking about
Aren't
getting
we
you...
shooting in 20 minutes?
Yeah. I'll have the script done by then.
Oh, okay. I was a little worried.
But I think, what was it? Like one of those movies that was done in like a week.
Yeah, he shot
God,
that and Frankenstein versus Jesse James or something. Like,
Jesse James meets Frankenstein's daughter.
Yeah.
whoa, okay.
You got to get it right, because Frankenstein meets Jesse James is a totally different movie.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
What would the modern day equivalent of this be? Is it Mr. Beast versus Slender Man?
Sure. Is
Okay.
that a thing?
Both of those are things.
Oh, both of those are things. You were saying, like, if we were to make...
Yeah. If we were to make it now, who's our Billy the Kid now? And who's
definitely
our
not
Dracula?
Mr. Beast. Yeah.
Well, he's kind of a bad guy who could get reformed.
Yeah.
in the future.
No, it's well, so here's the thing. This question doesn't make any sense, because you're like, what would our time version of a thing in the 60s that was about two people from 200 years and 100 years ago? So, like, what would our two things about what would our two guys from 200 years ago be?
Oh, it's Abraham Lincoln versus
Zombie. Yeah, there you go.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yeah. So,
Which was great.
yeah. You liked it.
So much more interesting than this pile of shit.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it'd be more like, let's
Slightly later.
The Great Gatsby versus the Wizard of Oz. How's
I would
that?
watch that for sure.
One of those not a horror movie icon.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking like more fantasy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, Phil, if you were to give this movie a rating, what would it be?
Oh my god, this movie was so bad. Like a 0 out of 5 blurriest movies I've ever seen in my life. I don't think a single shot was in focus. At least not what they wanted to be in focus. Or it was just old and hadn't been...
In fairness, we watched the Hoopla version, which is sort of the library version. It was very clear that this was like a DVD thing, and it was probably a DVD... a movie within a DVD compilation of like 30 different movies.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
this was like
It's
a
been
digital
compressed
upload.
so much.
It was compressed, and and I'm sure it never looked good. And it was just like an ugly soup.
Yeah,
to
it was
watch.
the same on Tubi.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was the same like rip from the same compilation, and it was just like, you couldn't. The movie opened. I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, because it's
I
like
can't see.
it's
anything.
nighttime, and so you can't. Yeah, you can't see anything.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was just the whole movie is underwater.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Craig,
God, I can't do the will scale because I just have to give this a 0. 0 out of 5. Maybe the vampire's weakness is getting hit in the face with a gun.
yeah, it's Gunwood.
Yeah.
Will, are you 5 out of 5ing this? I feel like that's what you want to say.
I'm getting very close to 5 out of 5ing this.
Yeah.
I think so. No, I'm gonna give this movie a. So I do my scale, and I feel like I need to repeat it because people might be confused.
Yeah.
But like, a 5 is a movie I like, and that I also think is a great movie. A 4 is a great movie that I don't necessarily like. A 3 is like a great idea, but they don't do it right. Oh,
so this is definitely a 3.
This is a 2, and a 2 is a movie that I just. It did nothing, does nothing. It's not super funny. It's not even a 1 is a movie that's so bad it offends me, and I think people should never see. Fine. You want to watch this? Fine. You can waste your time with worse things, I suppose.
What's a 1 movie? Name a 1 movie to me.
I I don't think we've ever watched any one movies, but like
Pocahontas.
no, I don't know, maybe, but like I just feel like there are movies that are like feel like they're dangerous to watch.
Avatar.
Do you know what I mean? Like movies that are super sexist or something. Do you know like what I'm saying? It's like it's like to the level where it's like no, nobody should watch this because it's racist. You know, or something
like Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, or like Birth of a Nation, or even like Gone with the Wind, probably. You know what I mean? Which I've heard is actually a good movie, but like it's an invention. You know what I mean? Like the whole idea that this is what the South looked like is made up for the movie or the book or whatever. Who cares? So anyways, I'm going to give this 2 racist depictions of Indians out of 5.
Oh boy, yeah, they said firewater multiple times.
Sure did. And
Forgot about that part.
yeah.
The guy also in the carriage at the beginning was a like whiskey distillery guy.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, I'm going to go see if I can sell some firewater to these Indians."
And by Indians, we mean Italian actors dressed as Indians.
Yes, of course we do. It's the 60s. Oh, God.
Okay, so this movie sucked.
This movie was bad.
yeah.
I'm not sorry we watched it.
No, it wasn't a waste of time. I mean, it was a waste of time, but it wasn't like a complete waste of my time. It was just a waste of my time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think...
I owe you 78 minutes.
Yeah, you owe me more than that, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Because now I've had to think about it. Anyways, but it is my turn to pick a movie.
Oh.
And I have a tendency to listen to a certain podcast called What Went Wrong. And whenever they talk about a movie that I had seen before, but I'd like kind of forgotten about, I'm always like, I need to go rewatch this with new eyes.
Oh my God, are we watching Dragon Ball Evolution?
God, no. Which I do own and we could watch. No, I want to watch American Psycho.
Oh, nice.
Because I didn't realize it's based off a book written by a gay man, and it was written and directed by women.
Yep.
Basically. And when I was a kid, I remember liking it, but I don't remember really clocking into the irony of it all. You know what I mean? And the humor within it. I just remember thinking oh, cool, Christian Bale's gonna kill people, and then he did, and I was like, that's fun. That was a fun movie. You know,
I haven't seen it since high school, and part of me is just like, well, this obviously can't be good still.
Yeah. I mean, it might not. Who knows? But it is one of those movies that it's one of those male movies, and I don't know why I'm suddenly getting fascinated with messaging towards men. But that is often thought of differently, thought of incorrectly. You know what I mean? It's in
your
Fight
Fight Clubs,
yeah.
American Psychos, your Joker.
Yeah.
Clockwork Orange, I think, still gets
yeah.
misinterpreted.
Yeah, and people they're like, "Oh yeah, this is a good way to behave." I was like, "What movie did you watch?" You know?
Yeah, men, I totally get that. Yeah, we're the only ones who will. We're gonna do that when society needs us to.
Yeah. So, anywho, yes, I wanted to rewatch that one because I was like, "Oh yeah, I want to watch a good movie, hopefully, or at least we'll see."
You know what they say: strong men make easy times.
Did they say that?
It's a long. I don't. It's like strong men make easy times make weak men make hard times make strong. It's a thing that the internet loves to. I don't know if it's from something.
It's like somebody calling somebody a summer child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a dumb internet thing for the people who would assume American Psycho is a good thing to follow.
Yeah, it's a yes, and they're just assuming that that's what makes people insufferable, and not that it's a more of a class and wealth situation. But sure, it's because somebody wasn't raised right. Anyways, that's what we're watching next week.
Exciting.
Yes.
Exciting. I have not seen this. I'm excited to see it for the first time. It's been on my list. It's just one that I just never got around to watching. I think I missed it, and then later on found out oh, this is one that a lot of people misinterpret, and it's actually if you look at it with the right lens, it's really interesting. I'm like, cool. I can't right now.
Yeah.
It's too much. But now I think it's important.
So
I'm excited.
Thank you for liking and subscribing to the podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. If you want to tell us another Western horror combo that is hopefully better than this.
Oh, honestly, yeah. If you've got a good one, let me know.
I
that's
think Phil's
my
trying to
favorite genre.
finish.
Yeah, I got to get through all of them.
Yeah.
This episode was brought to you by Jack Kessel.
That's my wife.
Yeah, because she's the reason why. I mean, kind of. We can do this podcast in person. I mean, of course, you as well, Phil. But because,
I did some of the driving.
Yeah, you did some of the driving and changing. Well, you didn't change jobs, but still, right?
Yeah.
Did you change jobs?
No, I changed location.
Yeah,
of job.
you had to talk to a lot of bosses.
Yeah, I
to
said,
figure that out.
"Hey, one boss, I'm going to do this," and he said, "Oh, are you staying with the company, please, dear God?" And I said, "Oh, yeah," and he said, "Oh, okay, yeah, we don't care."
Perfect.
It was really difficult.
Well, okay. So I was like trying to thank you, and you just took that compliment and made me feel like a fool.
Yeah, I'm a millennial man. I can't take compliments, especially from a friend who's also a man. No way.
We're not in trouble at all as a country.
Oh, man. If you like what you heard, consider leaving a review, giving us a like and subscribe. Do at one of our TikToks. Is that what they call it on the TikTok?
Yeah.
Retalk it?
I don't know why you would duet it, but yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
Duet it like you're talking with us.
Yeah, that's...
Please do that. Someone.
Okay.
That's all right, straight face. That's all for this episode.
God.
Really got him.
That's all for this episode. I'm Phil Kessel.
I'm Will Jodas.
And I'm Craig Norland.
Don't watch this movie.
Yeah, I really
It's
hope
so
people
bad.
avoid
God,
this one.
It honestly, Will said it wasn't a waste of time. It's an absolute waste of time.
incredibly
It's
boring.
really bad.
It is not. You're like, oh, this sounds like this would be like nonsense. It's just nothing. It is so boring.
I would maybe watch Borderlands again before watching this again.
Oh.
Well,
Oh, God, I might agree with that. That
yeah,
sucks.
but this is short.
Oh, that's true.
That's
Yeah,
true.
uh-oh.
This is only like 70-something minutes
Yeah.
long, so give this a watch, actually.
Yeah, I actually watched it.
I've changed it.
Forget it.
5 out of 5.
Yeah, you have to watch this now. This is required watching.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Brought to you by Mumble and Shrug Productions.